Lily Mason walked through the dense forest behind her family's cabin. The morning air was cool and crisp. Birds sang in the trees and sunlight filtered through the leaves. Lily loved these woods. They were her escape from the small town where everyone knew each other's business. She stepped carefully over fallen logs and pushed aside branches. Her long brown hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and her green eyes scanned the forest floor for interesting plants or animal tracks. Lily collected these observations in a small notebook she always carried. A strange sound stopped her. It wasn't the normal forest noise she knew well. It was a pained whimper, followed by a weak growl. Lily moved cautiously toward the sound. In a small clearing, she saw something that made her freeze. A wolverine lay on its side, breathing hard. Blood matted its dark brown fur. The animal was much bigger than Lily expected. She had only seen pictures of wolverines in books. They weren't common in this part of Michigan. Lily knew wolverines were dangerous. Her father had warned her about them. They were fierce and strong for their size. But this one was hurt. It looked at her with intelligent eyes that seemed filled with pain. "Hey there," she said softly. "You're hurt pretty bad." The wolverine growled weakly, but didn't move to attack. Lily noticed a deep cut on its side. Something had wounded it badly. She should leave it alone. That's what anyone would tell her to do. Wolverines were wild animals, not pets. But Lily couldn't walk away. "I'm going to help you," she said. "Try not to bite me, okay?" Lily took off her flannel shirt, leaving just her t-shirt. She approached slowly, holding the shirt out. The wolverine watched her but remained still. When she was close enough, she gently pressed the shirt against the wound. The wolverine flinched but didn't attack. "I need to get you back to the cabin," Lily said. "Dad has a first aid kit." She looked around and spotted a fallen branch. She quickly removed her belt and used it with the branch to make a simple drag sled. Very carefully, she moved the wolverine onto her shirt and then onto the makeshift sled. "This might hurt," she warned as she began to pull. The journey back to the cabin took over an hour. The wolverine remained surprisingly calm, only growling. When Lily hit a bump or had to cross rough ground, her father's truck wasn't in the driveway. He was probably still at work at the lumber mill. That was good. He wouldn't approve of bringing a wild animal home, especially a wolverine. Lily dragged the sled up to the back porch. She left the wolverine there while she went inside to get supplies. She grabbed the first aid kit, a bowl of water, and some leftover chicken from the fridge. Back on the porch, the wolverine hadn't moved. Its eyes followed her as she knelt beside it. "I'm going to clean your wound now," she said. "It's going to sting." Lily worked carefully, cleaning the deep cut with water and antiseptic. The wolverine flinched and growled but didn't try to bite her. The wound was strange. It looked almost like a burn, not like a cut from a fight with another animal. "What happened to you?" Lily wondered aloud. After cleaning the wound, she applied antibiotic ointment and wrapped it with gauze. It wasn't perfect, but it was the best she could do. She offered the chicken, placing it near the wolverine's mouth. At first, it just sniffed at the food. Then it ate hungrily. "You need a name," Lily said. "How about Scout? You look like a scout to me." The wolverine Scout seemed to respond to the name, looking up at her. Its eyes were intelligent, almost unnaturally, so Lily made a bed for Scout using old blankets in a wooden crate. She placed it in the corner of the covered porch, where it would be protected from wind and rain. "You can stay here until you're better," she told Scout, "but you'll have to hide when my dad gets home." As if understanding, Scout crawled into the crate and settled on the blankets. That evening, Lily heard her father's truck coming up the gravel driveway. She quickly checked on Scout, who was sleeping in the crate, and threw an old tarp over it to hide him. Jack Mason was tall and strong from years of working at the lumber mill. His beard was getting gray, but his eyes were still sharp. He hugged Lily when he came in. "How was your day, kiddo?" he asked. "Fine," Lily said. "Just explored the woods for a while. Any trouble in town?" he asked, as he always did. "No, why would there be?" Jack shrugged. "People are talking. Strange lights in the sky last night. Farmer Peterson says something." killed 2 of his cows, but it wasn't a normal predator attack. Lily thought of Scout and the strange burn-like wound. What do you think it was? Don't know. Military, maybe? Testing something new. Wouldn't be the first time. Jack had been in the army before Lily was born. He didn't talk about it much, but she knew he had seen combat. Later that night, after her father went to bed, Lily snuck out too. Check on Scout. The Wolverine was awake, looking better already. Lily changed the bandage and gave Scout more food and water. There's something strange going on, she whispered to Scout. Dad thinks it might be military tests. Scout made a low, growling sound that didn't seem threatening. It almost sounded like agreement. The next morning, Lily woke early. She went out to the porch expecting to find Scout in the crate, but the crate was empty. Panic filled her chest. Had Scout left? Was the Wolverine too wild to stay? Then she noticed the scratches on the porch floor. They led down the steps and around to the back of the cabin. Lily followed them and found Scout sitting near the edge of the woods, staring up at the sky. Lily looked up too. There was nothing unusual, just blue sky and a few clouds. But Scout seemed focused, alert, as if watching for something. What do you see? Lily asked. Scout looked at her, then back at the sky. Lily had never seen an animal act this way. It was almost like Scout was trying to warn her about something. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Scout's behavior. Around midnight, she got up and looked out her window. Scout was in the yard again, looking up. This time, Lily saw it too. A dark shape moving across the stars, blocking them out as it passed. It was huge and silent. Not a plane, not a cloud. Something else. Scout growled from below. Lily felt a chill run down her spine. Whatever was happening, Scout knew more than she did. And something told her that the strange lights, the dead cows, and Scout's injury were all connected. The next morning, the phones weren't working. Neither were cell phones or the internet. Something was very wrong, and Lily had a feeling that Scout might be the key to understanding what was coming. 3 days passed with no phone service or internet. The small town of Pine Creek was filled with worried people. Many drove to nearby cities to find out what was happening. Few returned. Lily's father, Jack, turned on their battery-powered radio. Static filled the room until he found a weak signal. "This is an emergency broadcast," said a shaky voice. "Unknown aircraft have been spotted over major cities worldwide. Citizens are advised to remain indoors. Do not approach these craft. Military forces are—" The radio cut to static again. Jack's face grew serious. He went to the closet and pulled out a locked box. Inside was his old service pistol. He checked it carefully. "Dad, what's going on?" Lily asked. "I don't know for sure," he said. "But I've seen enough to know when something bad is coming." Scout had been staying in the shed behind their cabin. The Wolverine was healing quickly. The wound was almost gone, which seemed impossible for such a short time. Lily went to check on him. Scout was agitated, pacing back and forth. When Lily opened the shed door, he darted past her and ran to the edge of the yard. He looked up at the sky and made a low, rumbling growl. Lily looked up too. At first, she saw nothing. Then a shape appeared in the distance. It was round and smooth, unlike any aircraft she had seen before. It moved silently across the sky, followed by another and another. Soon the sky was filled with them. Lily ran back to the house. "Dad, come look!" Jack came outside, pistol in hand. He watched the objects with narrowed eyes. "Those aren't ours," he said quietly. By evening, the town was in chaos. People from the city arrived in cars packed with belongings. They told stories of strange beings emerging from the flying crafts, beings that weren't human. They just walked right through our defenses, said a man who had driven from Detroit. "Tanks, guns, nothing worked against them. They have some kind of shields." The town hall became a meeting place. Jack and other veterans organized a community defense group. They collected weapons and made plans. Lily listened from the back of the room as they talked about guard shifts and safe houses. "They call themselves the Nalthori," said a woman who had worked at a news station. "They broadcast messages demanding our surrender. They say they come in peace if we don't resist. And if we do resist, someone asked. The woman looked down. They destroyed the military base outside Chicago in seconds. That night, Lily couldn't sleep again. She went to check on Scout. The Wolverine was alert, staring into the dark forest. His ears were perked up and his body was tense. What is it? Lily whispered. Scout looked at her, then back at the trees. He made a soft whining sound and nudged her leg, pushing her toward the cabin. You want me to go back inside? Scout nudged. Harder. Lily had never seen him act this way. She turned to go back to the cabin. A flash of blue light came from the forest. Scout growled and pushed against Lily's legs with more force. She stumbled back toward the cabin. Then she saw them. 3 tall figures stepped out of the trees. They moved strangely, almost floating. Their bodies were thin and covered in something, like armor. Their heads were oddly shaped with no visible mouth or nose, just large eyes that glowed in the darkness. Lily froze. The aliens, because that's what they had to be, hadn't seen her yet. They were scanning the area with small devices in their hands. Scout darted forward suddenly, running not toward the aliens but around them. He disappeared into the bush on the far side of the yard. There was a crash and a strange, high-pitched sound. The aliens turned toward the noise. They moved quickly in that direction, their devices pointed ahead of them. Lily realized what Scout had done. He had created a distraction to draw them away from her. She ran back to the cabin as quietly as she could. Dad, she whispered urgently, shaking her father awake. They're here, the aliens. In our yard. Jack was instantly alert. He grabbed his gun and looked out the window. Where? Scout led them away. Into the woods on the east side. Jack gave her a confused look. The Wolverine, it led them away? Yes, he made a noise to distract them from me. Jack didn't question her further. Stay inside, away from the windows. He moved silently to the back door. Lily followed despite his instructions. She watched as her father slipped outside, staying in the shadows. Minutes passed. Lily's heart pounded in her chest. Then she heard a strange, buzzing sound and saw a flash of blue light through the trees. There was a shout, her father's voice, and then silence. Lily couldn't wait any longer. She grabbed a flashlight and ran outside. The forest was dark and still. She called softly for her father, moving in the direction of the light she had seen. She found him leaning against a tree. His arm was burned, similar to Scout's wound. Dad, are you okay? I'm fine, he said through gritted teeth. One of them shot me with some kind of energy weapon, but I got away. Where are they now? Don't know. They were chasing something else. Maybe you're Wolverine. Lily helped her father back to the cabin. As they reached the yard, Scout appeared from the darkness. The Wolverine was unharmed, but breathing hard. He's back, Lily said with relief. Jack looked at Scout with new respect. That animal saved you, and probably me too. Inside, Lily cleaned and bandaged her father's arm while he told her what happened. He had seen the aliens searching the woods. When they got too close to the cabin, he tried to lead them away. One spotted him and fired some kind of weapon. Then that Wolverine showed up, Jack said. It charged right at them. Should have been suicide against those weapons. But it moved so fast, like it knew when they were going to shoot. They kept missing. Scout knows things about them, Lily said. He recognized them from the beginning. Jack looked thoughtful. That's not possible. Unless ... Unless what? Unless they've been here before. Maybe a long time ago. The next morning, more refugees arrived. In town with worse news. The aliens had established what they called containment zones in major cities. People inside couldn't leave. Those who tried disappeared. Jack and the other veterans gathered again. They needed a plan. The aliens would eventually come for Pine Creek. They have superior technology, Jack told the group. But we have knowledge of the terrain, and maybe something else. He glanced at Lily, who sat with Scout at her feet. The Wolverine had refused to leave her side since the encounter in the woods. My daughter's Wolverine can sense these things before our equipment can. It knows their movements, their patterns. I think it might be our early warning system. People looked skeptical until Scout suddenly stood up, fur bristling. He faced the east side of town and growled. 5 minutes later, lookouts reported alien craft approaching from that direction. The resistance was about to begin. The aliens set up a base just outside of Pine Creek. It was a large metal structure that seemed to appear overnight. Strange lights glowed from inside, and alien craft came and went regularly. For 2 weeks, the people of Pine Creek watched and waited. The aliens didn't attack the town directly, but they sent patrols through the area. Anyone they found was taken back to their base. No one returned. Lily and Scout spent their days watching the alien base from hidden spots in the forest. Lily drew pictures of what she saw in her notebook. The aliens had a pattern to their movements. They seemed most active during dawn and dusk, and their patrols followed the same routes each day. "They're very organized," Lily told her father as they ate dinner one night. "And they don't like the muddy areas near the river. They go around them every time." Jack looked interested. "Show me on the map." Lily pointed to several spots on their local map where the aliens avoided crossing the riverbank. "That's good information," Jack said. "But it's too dangerous for you to keep going out there." "Scout keeps me safe," Lily said. "He always knows when they're coming." Jack couldn't argue with that. The Wolverine had proven to be an excellent guard. Several times, Scout had warned them of approaching alien patrols before anyone else noticed. The next day, bad news came to town. 8-year-old Ben Clark had gone missing. His parents were frantic. He had been playing near his house and wandered off. With the aliens patrolling, everyone feared the worst. "They must have taken him to their base," said Ben's mother, crying. "Please, someone has to help him." The town's defense group met to discuss a rescue plan, but no one knew how to get into the alien base safely. The aliens had technology that could detect humans from far away. Lily listened from outside the town hall. An idea formed in her mind. She slipped away and went home to find Scout. "We need to help Ben," she told the Wolverine. "You can sense the aliens. You can help me get into their base." Scout seemed to understand. He stayed close to Lily as she packed a small bag with water, food, and a first aid kit. She also took her father's binoculars and a knife. She left a note for her father explaining where she had gone. Lily and Scout set out toward the alien base as the sun began to set. They moved carefully through the forest, staying hidden. Scout led the way, stopping often to listen and smell the air. When they got close to the base, Lily used the binoculars to study it. There was a large entrance where alien craft went in and out. Smaller doors were placed around the base, guarded by aliens with weapons. "How do we get in?" Lily whispered. Scout nudged her and moved toward the river that ran near the base. Lily followed. The Wolverine led her to a spot where a drainage pipe emptied into the river from under the alien base. The pipe was large enough for them to crawl through. "Good job, Scout," Lily said quietly. They waded through the shallow river to the pipe. The water inside was only a few inches deep. Lily turned on her small flashlight and they began to crawl through the dark tunnel. The pipe led them into the alien base. They emerged in a lower level where no aliens seemed to be present. Strange humming sounds filled the air, and the walls glowed with a faint blue light. Scout seemed nervous but determined. He led Lily through corridors, stopping at each corner to check for danger. Twice they had to hide as aliens passed by. The aliens didn't look down, so they didn't notice the girl and Wolverine hiding beneath raised platforms. Finally, they reached a large room with small cell-like spaces along the walls. In one of them, Ben sat huddled in a corner, crying softly. "Ben," Lily whispered. "It's me, Lily Mason. I'm here to help you." The boy looked up, his eyes wide with fear and hope. "Lily? How did you get here?" "Scout helped me." "We're going to get you out?" There was a clear barrier across the front of Ben's cell. Lily couldn't see any door or lock. She pushed against the barrier, but it didn't move. Scout growled softly and moved to a panel on the wall. He scratched at it. Lily examined the panel. It had strange symbols on it that she couldn't read. "What do I do?" She wondered aloud. Scout nudged her hand toward a specific symbol. Lily pressed it. Nothing happened. Scout nudged her toward another symbol. She pressed that 1-2 dot. Suddenly, the barrier in front of Ben's cell disappeared. The boy ran out and hugged Lily tightly. "Thank you," he sobbed. "They were doing tests on me." It hurt. "We need to get out of here," Lily said. "Stay close to me and Scout." As they turned to leave, Lily noticed something on a large screen in the room. It showed images of Earth animals, including wolves, bears, and wolverines. The aliens seemed to be studying them. Another screen showed a map of Earth with certain areas highlighted. Michigan was one of them, along with parts of Canada and Russia. They're interested in the animals, Lily realized. But why? There was no time to figure it out. Scout was getting anxious, pulling at Lily's pants leg with his teeth. They made their way back toward the drainage pipe. Ben was weak and scared, but he kept up as best he could. When they reached the lower level, they heard alien voices and strange mechanical sounds coming from a nearby room. Lily couldn't resist looking. She peeked through a doorway into a large laboratory. Aliens moved around examining containers of dirt and water. One container held a piece of iron ore from the local mines. The aliens seemed to be avoiding touching it directly. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the base. Lights flashed red and alien voices became more urgent. "They know we're here," Lily said. "Run!" They raced to the drainage pipe and crawled inside. Scout went first, then Ben, with Lily following. They could hear aliens approaching behind them. When they reached the river, they splashed across it and ran into the forest. Scout led them on a winding path through the thickest parts of the woods, where the aliens would have trouble following. By the time they reached the town, it was nearly dawn. Ben's parents cried with joy when they saw him. Jack hugged Lily tightly, relieved she was safe but angry she had gone without telling him. "I left a note," Lily said. "That's not the same as permission," Jack replied. "But you did save Ben, and you learned something important." Lily told everyone what she had seen in the alien base. The screens showing Earth animals, the map with certain areas highlighted, and how the aliens avoided the iron ore. "They don't like our soil," she explained. "The iron in it bothers them. And they're really interested in our animals, especially predators like wolverines." Olivia Wright, a science teacher from the local high school, spoke up. "Michigan has some of the most iron-rich soil in the country, and wolverines are native to areas with similar soil composition." Jack looked thoughtful. "So these aliens have a weakness. And somehow your wolverine knows it." Scout sat beside Lily, watching everyone with those intelligent eyes. He didn't seem like a normal animal at all. He seemed to understand exactly what was happening. "I think Scout has met these aliens before," Lily said. "Not him specifically, but maybe his species. Maybe wolverines have fought them in the past." It seemed impossible, but it was the only explanation that made sense. And now they had information they could use against the invaders. The people of Pine Creek finally had hope. The people of Pine Creek began to prepare for war against the aliens. Jack led the defense group in making plans. They gathered all the iron-rich materials they could find, old iron nails, tools, and ore from the abandoned mine outside town. Olivia Wright, the science teacher, worked with Lily to understand why the aliens avoided iron. They set up a small lab in the school building. "Iron is one of the most common elements on Earth," Olivia explained, "but it might be rare on the aliens' home planet. Or maybe it's harmful to them somehow." Lily watched as Olivia mixed soil samples with water to make mud. She added different amounts of iron filings to each sample. "We need to find the right mixture," Olivia said. "Something we can use as a weapon." Scout stayed with them, watching everything with interest. The wolverine seemed to understand what they were doing. Sometimes he would sniff at the samples and growl at the ones with the most iron. "Scout can smell something in the iron that bothers the aliens," Lily said. "That's how he can track them so well." Olivia looked thoughtful. "The aliens must give off some kind of scent or chemical that wolverines can detect. Animals often have much better senses than humans." They discovered that wet, iron-rich mud seemed to be the most effective. When it dried on alien equipment, it caused the machinery to malfunction, and the aliens themselves wouldn't touch it at all. While Lily and Olivia worked on their iron mud, Jack and the others practiced guerrilla tactics. They couldn't win in a direct fight against the aliens' advanced technology, but they could use hit-and-run attacks to disrupt the aliens' operations. Scout became their early warning system. The Wolverine could sense alien patrols long before they arrived. This gave the townspeople time to hide or prepare ambush. Over the next week, they had several small victories. They used Scout to locate alien patrols, then lured them into traps where they would dump buckets of iron-rich mud onto the aliens and their equipment. The aliens would retreat in confusion, their weapons and communication devices failing. Word spread to other nearby towns. Small resistance groups formed throughout the region, all using the same iron mud tactics. The aliens began to concentrate more forces on finding the source of the resistance. One evening, Jack called a meeting in the town hall. The aliens are getting frustrated, he told everyone. They've called in reinforcements. We intercepted a communication saying they're planning a major sweep of the area tomorrow. How do we stop them? Someone asked. There are too many for our usual traps. We need to hit them at their source, Jack said, their main base. If we can disable their communication center, they won't be able to coordinate their attacks. It was a dangerous plan. The alien base was heavily guarded, but Jack had noticed a pattern. The aliens rotated their guards every few hours, and there was a brief window when security was lighter. We need a small team, Jack explained. Just a few people who can slip in quietly? Lily spoke up from the back of the room. Scout and I should go. He can sense the aliens before we see them. And I've been inside before. Jack didn't like it, but he knew she was right. Fine, but I'm coming too. They chose two others for the team, Olivia for her scientific knowledge and Pete Harris, a former security guard who knew about alarm systems. That night, they prepared for the mission. Each person carried a backpack with bottles of iron mud, food, water, and first aid supplies. Jack had his pistol, though they knew bullets did little against the aliens' armor. Before dawn, they set out for the alien base. Scout led the way, moving silently through the forest. They approached from the riverside where they had found the drainage pipe before, but when they reached the river, they saw that the aliens had sealed the pipe with a metal grate. They needed a new way, and Scout seemed agitated. He paced back and forth along the riverbank, sniffing at something. What is it, boy? Lily asked quietly. The Wolverine led them upstream to a small waterfall. Behind it was a narrow cave opening. Scout went in without hesitation. The humans followed, using flashlights to see in the darkness. The cave twisted and turned beneath the ground. In some places, they had to crawl on hands and knees. The air grew warmer, and they began to hear the familiar humming sound of alien machinery. We must be under their base, Olivia whispered. The tunnel ended at a wall that glowed with the same blue light they had seen inside the base. Scout scratched at a spot near the bottom of the wall. Pete examined it closely. It's some kind of access panel, he said. For maintenance, maybe. Using tools from his pack, Pete managed to open the panel. It was just big enough for them to squeeze through one at a time. Scout went first, then Lily, followed by the others. They found themselves in a narrow service corridor. The walls hummed with energy, and pipes ran along the ceiling. They moved carefully, following Scout's lead. The Wolverine seemed to know exactly where to go. They passed several alien workers, who were focused on their tasks and didn't notice the intruders slipping by in the shadows. Scout kept them away from the more populated areas. Finally, they reached a large room filled with blinking equipment. Screens showed maps of Earth and displays of alien text. This must be their communication center, Olivia said. But how do we disable it? Jack studied the equipment. We could use the iron mud on these control panels. It should disrupt their systems. They began to remove bottles of mud from their backpacks. But before they could open them, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed and alien voices echoed through the corridors. They know we're here, Pete said, looking worried. Scout suddenly became alert, his fur standing on end. He growled toward the main door just as it slid open. 3 aliens entered. Their weapons raised. Lily reacted instantly. She threw a bottle of iron mud at the first alien. It shattered against its chest, covering the alien in the thick brown mixture. The alien made a high-pitched noise and stumbled backward, its weapon falling to the floor. Jack and Pete threw their bottles at the other aliens with similar results. The aliens retreated, clearly distressed by the iron mud covering them. "Quick, use the rest on the equipment," Jack ordered. They splashed the iron mud across the control panels and screens. The equipment sparked and sizzled. Screens went dark, and the humming sound changed to an irregular pattern. "It's working," Olivia said. "But we need to get out of here before more aliens come." Scout was already at another door, scratching urgently. They followed him through a maze of corridors. Twice they had to hide as groups of aliens ran past, responding to the alarm. The Wolverine led them to a loading area where alien craft brought in supplies. A small craft sat on a platform, ready to depart. No aliens were nearby. "Can we use that to escape?" Lily asked. Pete examined the craft. "It looks simple enough. Some kind of hover technology. No obvious weapons." "I can figure out the controls," Olivia said confidently. They climbed aboard the small craft. Olivia studied the control panel, which had symbols similar to those Lily had seen in the alien base before. "I think this starts it," she said, pressing. A glowing circle. The craft hummed to life and rose a few feet off the platform. A large door ahead of them began to open, revealing the forest outside. "Hold on," Olivia said as she pushed forward on a control stick. The craft shot forward through the door, faster than they expected. They were outside, flying above the trees. Behind them, the alien base was in chaos. Alarms blared, and aliens rushed about in confusion. "We did it," Lily said, hugging Scout. "We messed up their communications." As they flew toward Pine Creek, they saw alien patrols on the ground moving in different directions with no coordination. Without their central communication system, the aliens couldn't organize their forces effectively. The Resistance had won its first major victory, and it was all thanks to a girl and her Wolverine. The stolen alien craft landed at the edge of Pine Creek. People gathered around, amazed at what Lily, Jack, and the others had done. They had struck a real blow against the aliens by disabling their communications, but their victory didn't last long. 2 days later, larger alien ships appeared in the sky. The Nalthori were angry. They sent more patrols into the forest, searching for the humans who had damaged their base. Jack called an emergency meeting in the town hall. "We hurt them, but now they're fighting back harder," he told everyone. "They've brought in some kind of big machine. Our scouts saw them unloading it yesterday." "What kind of machine?" Olivia asked. "We don't know exactly," Jack said. "But it's huge, and they're setting it up on top of the hill outside town." Lily sat with Scout beside her. The Wolverine seemed more anxious than usual, pacing and growling softly. "Scout senses something bad," Lily said. "Whatever that machine is, it's dangerous." Pete Harris, who had been watching the alien base with binoculars, stood up. "I think I know what it is. I saw them testing a smaller version last week. It changes the air somehow. Makes it hard to breathe for us, but not for them." Everyone looked worried. Olivia spoke up. "They're terraforming. Changing our environment to suit them instead of adapting to ours. If they start that machine, how far will its effects reach?" someone asked. "Based on its size, probably this whole region to start," Olivia said. "But they could build more. Eventually they could change the entire planet." The room fell silent as people realized what this meant. The aliens weren't just invading, they were planning to transform Earth into a world where humans couldn't survive. "We have to stop that machine," Jack said firmly. "Before they activate it." "But how?" Pete asked. "They've doubled their guards. We can't get close to the base now." Lily had been quiet, thinking hard. She remembered something she had seen in the alien base during their first rescue mission. "The aliens have been here before," she said. "I saw it on their screens. They visited Earth in the past, maybe hundreds or thousands of years ago. What does that have to do with stopping them now?" someone asked. "The screens showed that Wolverines and other animals fought them before," Lily explained. Why Scout knows so much about them. His species remembers. She looked down at Scout, who met her eyes with an almost human understanding. I think the animals of Earth have been protecting us for a long time, Lily continued. Not just wolverines, but wolves, bears, all the predators in areas with iron-rich soil. They've been our first line of defense without us knowing it. Jack looked skeptical, but he had seen Scout's unusual behavior enough times to consider it. What are you suggesting? We need to work with nature, not just against the aliens, Lily said. Scout can communicate with other animals somehow. I've seen him do it. What if we could get help from more animals in the forest? It was a strange idea, but they had no better plan. Lily took Scout into the forest that night. They went to a clearing where she had often seen deer and other wildlife. I don't know if this will work, Lily told Scout. But we need help. Can you call the others? Scout looked at her, then lifted his head and made a sound unlike anything Lily had heard. Before, it wasn't quite a howl or a growl, but something in between. He made the sound 3 times, then waited for several minutes. Nothing happened. Then Lily began to notice movement in the trees around them. A pack of wolves emerged from one side. A large black bear lumbered in from another direction. Foxes. Raccoons, even a moose with massive antlers appeared. The animals kept their distance from each other, but all seemed focused on Scout. The wolverine moved into the center of the clearing and made more sounds. The other animals responded with their own calls. They're communicating, Lily whispered in amazement. Scout returned to Lily's side after a few minutes. The other animals melted back into the forest. Did they agree to help? Lily asked, not really expecting an answer. Scout nudged her hand and looked toward town. It was time to go back. The next morning, Lily told her father what had happened. Jack was doubtful but willing to try anything at this point. The aliens plan to activate their machine tomorrow at dawn, he said. We'll make our move tonight. If your animal friends show up, great. If not, we still have to try. The resistance fighters gathered their remaining iron mud and weapons. The plan was simple: create a distraction at the front of the alien base, while a small team snuck in from behind to destroy the terraforming machine. As darkness fell, they moved into position. Jack would lead the frontal attack with most of the fighters. Lily, Scout, Olivia, and Pete would try to reach the machine. They waited for the signal, a flash of light from the town. When it came, Jack's group began their attack. They threw bottles of iron mud at the alien guards and fired flaming arrows at the base's exterior. Alarms blared as aliens rushed to defend against the attack. Meanwhile, Lily's group made their way around to the back of the base where the giant machine stood. It was taller than a house, with parts that spun slowly and glowed with blue light. 6 alien guards stood around it. Too many guards, Pete whispered. We can't take them all. Suddenly, Scout grew alert. He looked toward the forest, ears perked. Up, a low growl came from the trees, then another and another. The wolves had arrived. They burst from the trees, a dozen strong, charging toward the alien guards. The aliens fired their weapons, but the wolves moved too quickly, dodging the energy blasts. Behind the wolves came the bear, roaring as it ran. The aliens had never faced Earth's predators in a coordinated attack. They fell back in confusion. More animals joined the attack: foxes, raccoons, even birds diving from above. It was chaos, giving Lily's group the chance they needed. Now! Olivia said. They ran toward the machine, Scout leading the way. The aliens saw them and tried to stop them, but the animals kept them busy. Lily and the others reached the base of the machine. Where do we put the iron mud? Pete asked, pulling bottles from his backpack. Olivia examined the machine quickly. There, those glowing parts must be the power source. They splashed the iron mud onto the machine's main components. It sizzled and sparked, but the machine kept running. It's not enough, Olivia said in frustration. We need more iron. Scout suddenly barked and ran to a panel on the side of the machine. He scratched at it urgently. Pete pried it open to reveal a complex array of circuits and glowing crystals. That's the control system, Olivia said. But we still need more iron to disable it. Lily looked at Scout. You know what to do, don't you? The Wolverine seemed to nod. He turned and made that strange sound again, the one he had used to call the other animals. In response, the animals attacking the aliens suddenly backed away. They gathered around the machine, forming a circle. Then, one by one, each animal dug its paws or hooves into the iron-rich soil and approached the machine. They pressed their mud-covered paws against the machine's surface, leaving dirty prints. Behind Dot, the machine began to sputter. Its blue glow flickered and dimmed. The spinning parts slowed. "It's working!" Olivia exclaimed. "The combined iron from all of them is overloading the system." Scout joined the other animals, putting his own mud-covered paws on the machine. Lily did the same, pressing her hands against the alien technology. Dot with a final groan and a shower of sparks. The machine went dark. A wave of energy pulsed outward, knocking everyone to the ground. When Lily looked up, the aliens were retreating to their ships, abandoning their base and their plans. Over the next few days, reports came in from other towns. The aliens were leaving Earth entirely. Their invasion had failed. Earth's natural defenses, its iron-rich soil, and the animals that evolved with it had proven too much for them. Lily sat on the porch of her cabin, Scout beside her. The Wolverine would stay with her now, a reminder of how an unlikely friendship had helped save the world. "We've always had guardians," Lily said, scratching behind Scout's ears. "We just didn't know it." Scout made a contented sound and leaned against her leg. Above them, the stars shone in a peaceful sky, free of alien ships. Earth was safe, thanks to a human girl and her Wolverine.